Welcome to the podcast. My name is Edwin, and today I got Freddie along with me. Usually it's Sam that's on the podcast, but this time it's Freddie. Again, this is just a conversation between friends. So Freddie's like my other brother. So we were just having a conversation about how I have a friend. His name is Henry Free. He's an older gentleman. He's black, and I remember one day I was having a conversation with him when it came to just his life, right? And he was mentioning how he went through segregation himself. He's like an 80-year-old man at this point. And I met him through bingo. I used to clean a church right by my house, and he would be at bingo night every single night, and I just got close to him. And it was one of those things where I remember one day we were just having a conversation, and he was just like, "I'll be honest with you, I look white. I'm Hispanic. I look like a very white person." and he was telling me, he was just like, at one point I never imagined myself becoming friends with a white person, and he's just happy of how life has gone to at this point, right? Where he went from segregation, where he wouldn't even be allowed in basically in the same school with somebody, to being friends with somebody. It's a crazy story. And then you started bringing up the story of
I was working at some nursing home the other day.
Yeah.
And and the guy's just telling me his stories, whatever. We're talking. Obviously, I'm Hispanic, so he can tell. And I'm like, whatever. So
not like me though.
Nah, definitely. You fucking know. I'm fucking.
The second you see him, you're like, are you sure he's legal?
So he's just telling me, and he pretty much same thing, similar to that, is that when he went to school, when he was young, obviously, I don't know how old he is, but when he was first coming in, he was going to school with this kid, and I guess it was the first, like, black kid he's ever been across.
So the guy that you're talking about is a white guy, right?
Or he's a white guy. He's a white guy. So he was just saying, like, growing up, where he grew up, he was told his whole life, fucking from a kid, that we don't like these people, or these people aren't good, they're all criminals, whatever. So, that was the mindset. He told me this 100% honest. He was like, that's the mindset he went with, is that they're all bad. And then he ended up, like, they were playing gym, whatever. He was like, oh, the kid wasn't as bad as the kid was, like, joyful, whatever. And he said then they finally had to partner up in, like a science class.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, we partner up. And he's like, and then we're doing the work. He's like, and the kid isn't bad. The kid's cracking jokes. The kid was like him. He was like, the kid was like him. And then he's like, all of a sudden, he was like, yo, this kid ain't that bad. And he's like, my whole life I've been told this and that. And he was like, so then they started becoming friends. They freaking went on, and they freaking became friends in high school.
Yeah.
And then he became his best man at his wedding. And it was just like, it's such a, like, he was just like how something, like, being told from your kid, like, you don't talk to these people. To him, exactly. Embracing that mindset, because that's what they taught him. To then growing up, and then, boom. That became like his ride or die. He's like, if I ever needed a kidney, or if he needed something, they knew they had each other forever. Yeah.
It's crazy. It's one of those things where it goes like, are you taught? I guess racism is taught. No, like it's one of those things where you go, that person's bad. Like this is what it is, or do you think it's something that's like inherent? I feel like it's probably something that it's just like, oh, these are the people that you don't talk to,
Which is nuts, because to be fair, if your parents told you as a kid, don't play with that kid, you wouldn't go play with him. That's what I'm saying, which is nuts.
Because you're like, oh, these are people that I've been with my whole life. They're my mom and dad. Like, I'm gonna listen to them.
Yeah, so much trust in them.
Exactly.
And so when you're taught wrong, that's like for his case, that's that. Yeah, he was taught this and that, and that's what he lived by.
Exactly.
And for many years, he lived by that until he met the first fucking black person he's ever came across.
Yeah.
And he was like, whoa.
Isn't it crazy, though, that it's just like, all right, so when we learn about this stuff, we're thinking about this as, like, history. This is something that happened way back in the past or whatever. But
yeah, definitely.
We're a generation away. In fact, you probably don't even have to go that far. Levittown in Long Island is notorious for being still 99% white. There's barely any type of diversity there.
Yeah.
So there's probably still some people that go to school that probably haven't even interacted with one black person at all. And it doesn't have to be black. It could be Hispanic, Asian, whatever.
Yeah,
it could be a huge diversity. So they're just they're around their own people. They go about being in their own little circle. And it's crazy to think about. It's like, we learn about segregation and all this shit, how like it was so long ago, right? You feel like so long ago
Feels like
because in the
centuries
history,
away.
it's centuries away, right?
Yeah.
We personally know people that go, yeah, no,
No,
I
I grew
lived
up.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
it's insane to think about. Where you just go like, oh, it's in the history books. It has to be. It has to be
And
like
then,
100 years
yeah,
ago.
that's another thing about what the guy said. He's like, he's like, yeah, I've come across people. He's like, of all races, and there's always good and there's always bad.
Yeah,
He's like, regardless of what. He's like, but race doesn't define the person. And
it's true.
that's kind of what he said he learned from everything is that, even at the end of it, his parents weren't happy that he was best friends with a black guy. But
Yeah,
he didn't care because he knew that their brotherhood went way deeper than the skin color. It was just like,
exactly.
that was his brother. Which to me was like, it was crazy. I was like, it's crazy that somebody in our lifetime that we've met that's still alive went through that.
Yeah,
Whether we're still young, this guy went through. I don't know how old he was, but
exactly.
it's still nuts.
It truly is to me like insane to think about because it goes like it's just one of those things where it's just like, yeah, what the fuck? Like, it wasn't that long ago. It really wasn't. If you think about the 1950s, my parents.
Bro, that was just like 60, 70 years ago. If
Yeah.
somebody's 90, they would have lived that in the 20s.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I work at a dental office and I see a lot of birthdays now, and I see a bunch of people from the 1940s, and I'm like, oh, yeah. When I think about it, I'm like, you're only. Like a lot of the people that are born, I'm just like, you're only 2 to 3 years away from World War II. Like,
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane to think about. It's funny how like history books like make it seem to us like it's something that's ancient, right? But when it was yesterday, in the blink of everything, it was yesterday.
But how about this?
Mm.
Not to say that it's not personal to us. I mean, anybody listening, obviously.
Yeah.
9/11. I was like 3. I don't remember it.
Yeah, same
To
here.
be fair, I don't remember it, but I kind of a little bit remember the day of it, but not like, I'm sure our parents remember it like
Yeah.
instantly. They know exactly where they were every single day.
So for the people that don't know, we grew up in New York, like, and not just like buttfuck nowhere, New York, Oswego, like
not Buffalo.
Exactly. We're like near the city. Like, I don't want to reveal exactly where we are, but we're near the city, close enough that my parents actually saw the smoke plumes from the towers crashing down. We're pretty close to it, so
But I guess that's my bad. What my point was in that is that
go ahead.
I feel like we haven't lived through it. We haven't gone through it, which is like 9/11. Like all I remember from 9/11 is watching the videos.
Yeah.
And same thing I feel like with the history books is we didn't live through it. So
I'm gonna ask you this.
Go ahead.
I remember when I first went to school, and they had that first moment of silence, when they were just like, let's have a moment of silence for 9/11 or whatever. I was in kindergarten. I was like, whoa, this is a weird thing. Do you remember that or no? Like I felt like my first memory of it was probably like first grade, where we finally started having a moment of silence for it.
I remember the day of it, but I only remember because my mom, like, panicked. Like I felt like I guess in my life I never seen her like, oh crap. Yeah. Like, I feel like she was like, oh, what the
I definitely
hell
wasn't
happened?
old enough to have any type of memory of the day.
I just remember like those split seconds, which is like, oh snap, she really. It was like something's wrong.
Yeah.
This is like my mom's reaction, but I don't remember. I remember probably maybe let's say to what that feeling was. I probably remember of it, but I don't. I was like, what the hell are we quiet for?
Yeah.
Probably I was such a kid.
Like I think. Like the real I feel like in my whole life I've always known of 9/11, right? Because I was like 2 when that thing happened.
Yeah, I was like 3 probably.
But I think the realization hit me maybe when I was in first grade, when it was 9/11. They made us stand up, and they were just like, they went over the loudspeaker and they said we have to have a moment of silence, look at the flag. You had to. I don't know. I don't think we do that now, but they made us put like our hands above our hearts and everything.
I think they still do. Maybe.
I think
so.
I remember in high school we would just have the moment of silence, and we'd all like sit in silence.
We just say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Towers. Yeah, we'd say the Pledge of Allegiance. In high school, we didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance, did we? They would let it ring and like say it, like do it, but we wouldn't be.
I don't think we were like forced to do it.
Yeah, we weren't forced to do it. Yeah. No.
Nah, I mean we didn't go to the best high school, so.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, it's yeah.
I that's how I feel with like the whole segregation thing. Is like, especially being in New York, man, it's so diverse compared to.
Yeah.
You ever been to another state? To be fair, you don't see as diversity as you do over here.
It's
you see so much over here without us knowing it.
Exactly. So, I ended up going upstate one day, and I went to this town, and it made me truly realize that, like, yo, living in the city, we're kind of blessed when it comes to it, because we see everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We're in a diverse ass place.
Yeah.
But I went upstate, and it was like a small town. There was barely any diversity. It was like it literally was just a bunch of white people from what I saw, and then like there was one Asian store owner, and then that's it. That was it. It was a small town.
Yeah.
Like the town, you literally had one street light, and then you were out of the town. You were out of the main hub of the town, right? And I'm just like, you know what? This is probably the majority of America, right? Probably, right? Besides the cities. Besides, New York City, Philly, Chicago, California, probably Austin and Texas, or somebody in Arizona.
I would think probably, most of the country's pretty rural.
Yeah, right.
I mean, not diverse at that point. Which is like, I mean, even if you go to Pennsylvania, you go over there, you see a different breed of people.
Bro, weren't we driving? I don't know if it was when I was with you, but weren't we driving to Pennsylvania and some guy just kind of like popped out of nowhere? Like he like literally came out of like the side
woods.
of the woods.
Yeah. You know, bro, I was so scared. I was like, oh, you can never trust the person that freaking walks out the woods by himself.
Yeah,
man.
exactly.
That's some creepy crap.
Bro, for us living in the city, we're probably just like, yo, that's strange as hell. But this guy was probably just getting to school or some shit.
Fucking poor man has to cross 3 rivers to get there. We're over here making fun of him.
Bro, like our parents used, I don't know if your parents ever told you about that.
My parents definitely did.
Yeah, exactly. Their stories of how they had to go to school. They had to
go through like fucking hurricanes and bridges.
Yeah, my mom would tell me how they wouldn't even, they were just like, we wouldn't even have a chance to brush our teeth at home. We would have to walk across a bridge with a brick in our hand to go to school. And then once we got to school, they would all take us to this little river to go wash our hands and brush our teeth. Bro, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. That's what people in PA live.
Bro, she used to cross like 3 mountains.
Yeah.
4 buses and like a plane. It's a bullshit. That's a bullshit. But I'm like, yo, what the... Yeah, it's nuts. That's how I feel about PA right now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the second I leave the city, that's how I feel about everything else in America. Because I'm just like,
yo, it's crazy.
I think I don't know if sheltered is the right word, but we're probably sheltered from the rest of the world. Where we live in a hub. We're in the Big Apple. Like motherfuckers from the rest of the world are want to come over.
That's fair.
All right, so now this is another question I have for you. We've lived here. It's not magic to us. Do you feel like there's magic to the city? I know, like, alright, we live in the outskirts of it, so sometimes whenever I go visit it, I'm like, yo, this is cool.
No, I work in it. I work in it some days.
Yeah.
Some days I go to the city to work it, but I do feel like it's unique. Like if you've never been, I do feel like, maybe I'm just biased, obviously. I feel like there's no other city like it. Just because there's so much difference. Cultures in it, and it's just like I feel like everybody really much has their own personality, whatever it is.
We have towns for cultures. We have Chinatown, Little Italy. We have I think we have a Thai town as well. We have
fucking
everything, bro. Like you can find every country in
here. Pretty much the Colombian streets. Mexican streets. You want fucking tacos.
Harlem, we have like a whole like Puerto Rican, Dominican side of it. We have like
I wouldn't name you many other countries. I mean, countries. Fuck out of here. States.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't name it. So back when I used to work at a lot of hotels, like there'd be people that would come into the hotel that would be like, "Hey, look, I used to live in New York City, and now I live in bumblefuck nowhere in America, whatever." And they're just like, this is the place where they have the #1 Chinese food. He's like, the reason why I come here is like, I want to eat the Chinese food again. And it's like, yeah, you know what?
That's true,
New York does have a huge Chinese culture.
Bro,
right?
I went to, not to cut you off. I went to Georgia, bro. I asked for bacon, egg, and cheese. I have no idea what the hell I got, to be fair. Yeah. I was like, these motherfuckers don't know about this.
Yeah, just like, damn, they don't know some places don't know what a good pizza is, man.
Oh my God.
We live in the hub and the #1 pizza in the world.
Yeah.
Man. What is the other state that like competes against us? Is it Chicago? Yeah, right. Yeah. Chicago deep dish. That's what they go.
But it ain't that good.
I've never had it. So
it's good, but I
It
prefer
ain't
New York
New York
pizza.
pizza. Yeah, I feel.
But I'm sure they say the same thing about us.
Bro, you can't beat dollar slices here, bro.
Nah, definitely not.
Yeah, it.
All right, now my next question is:
Mm.
do you see yourself living out in New York?
I don't think so. So just seeing how everything, I could see myself like if I ever end up becoming rich or whatever, like having a summer house or something out in like Pennsylvania or upstairs somewhere else. But it's difficult to see myself living outside of a city, because I've been to like Maryland where it just feels empty, like things just feel empty. Like there's nothing to do.
Yeah.
I've a lot of my family lives in Virginia. They for some reason decided not to stop at New York City. They went straight to Virginia afterwards.
That's me too. Me too. I got like fucking 4 uncles over there.
No, yeah. So I swear to God, I have 10 uncles over there, 10 uncles and aunts, and I talked to my cousins over there, and they're just like, yeah, there's nothing to do. One of my fucking cousins ended up being like, yeah, you know what we used to do for fun? We would jump on the hoods of cars. That's what they would do for fun, because there's nothing else to do besides drugs out there.
Oh my God.
So I'm just like, yeah, you know what? I think I'm blessed to grow up here in the hub of the world, where we have Wall Street, where we have all this and everything. We have Broadway, everything. Now with Corona, everything's closed down.
Oh man,
but still, but even then, even in the height of quarantine, it's something interesting to go see the city, which used to be packed with everybody.
Bro, I'm in there now. Man. It's weird. It's still weird to me. Like,
yeah,
bro, you go from like even like 9 months ago, obviously before Corona.
Yeah,
bro, you'd be bumping shoulders with people. Now it's kind of it's kind of empty, man.
Yeah,
you got like easily like 10 feet around you. Nobody walking by.
You got that 6 foot distance now. Yeah.
Nah, I know. I give it more than 6 foot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit more spacious now.
Bro, I remember in the height of quarantine, like I fucking already had Corona. I was like, I have the antibodies. Let me go.
Corona? Alright, it's my time to go now.
Like, what? You had it? I was like, you know what? Let me go to the city. Let me see how empty it is. Bro, I would be able to ride my bike in the fucking streets. I felt like I owned the city at that point.
You could drive in the city back then.
Without getting into a car crash. Yeah, you're right.
No, without waiting for damn people to cross the street.
Yeah, that too. Didn't have to run nobody over. Didn't have to fight to get into different lanes and everything. It's scary though.
I had a coworker that, obviously, like I said, we work in the city. So he used to take the train, bro. And he used to be like, he used to drive. Not drive, but he used to be taking train. He'd be like, did I take the wrong train or something? But it would be like he was the only soul in that whole train.
Yeah.
And then he'd get off, and not one person would get off with him. Like I'm saying, like you know, when you look down the lane, I guess I don't know how you want to call that. We look down and nobody's getting off or on. He was like, it was a ghost town. He's like, for like 2-3 months, it was easily like nobody was taking the train. He was like, he liked it obviously because there's no traffic, but he was like, for him, that was the first time, and he grew up around the city. He grew up like I think in the Bronx. Yeah. And he was saying how his whole life he's taken the subway or the LIRR, and it's been packed. Yeah. And boom, and then finally COVID hits, and he's like, whoa, this
Doesn't that feel like a bad B-list movie? Where you just go like, I'm in an empty subway, you look around, the fucking lights are flickering. Don't you remember when we took the LIRR? Yeah. And there was that like one train that for some reason like all the lights would shut off whenever you like hit a bump or something. Oh man. Yeah, like imagine that bit alone. Like nobody on the train at all. Panicking at that point. Yeah, I'd be like, what the? I would think I'm in a bad dream. I'm just like, I'm in a bad dream and I can't wake up. But no, it was just real life for a while. And it's probably gonna happen again.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm sure it probably will.
Yeah.
Which is gonna be, it's gonna be definitely different than the first time.
Yeah. And you think people will take it more seriously the second time around or no? Or you think people will be like, I already did this shit once, I don't want to do it again?
To be fair, I'm being honest. I feel like I'm just speaking on my behalf. I feel like I've gotten a little bit more lax with it. Not lax, but like, I feel like when it was first going on, I was kind of like, always like, I need hand sanitizer, I need this, that, I can't touch this.
You were acting like the second you know I exit out of the store. This man has like 5 different hand sanitizer bottles in his car. Yeah. Which is good. No, honestly, it's good. You don't want coronavirus. This shit sucks. You have I don't laugh now. I already had this shit. This shit sucks, man. It really does. It's something that you don't want to get. And you know what? The second time around, this shit's fucking stronger. It's like, oh, these motherfuckers learn how to cure me or like
No,
how to heal
I'm
me.
sure like any other virus, I'm sure it's gonna mutilate.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't even know if the right word,
it's
to be fair.
adapted or something. So,
But I'm sure it's definitely, it's just learning how to adapt to your body, which is scary.
bro, I just hope that, knock on wood, that like I just can't get this shit a second time. I do not want it a second time at all.
I hope so too, man. It would change the game if people could get it a second time. It'd be like, oh.
I remember for a while there was like, I think it was mainly South Korea where people were just like, oh, they were getting it a second time. But I think
South Korea was so good with it. How the hell they get it a second time?
They were
They
that
barely
good
got it the
with
first
it.
time.
They were that good with it that they got rid of it immediately so they could get it again. No. It was one of those things where it was just like, I guess people would take the test too soon and it'll come out positive again. And then they were just like, oh, these people are getting it a second time, but it didn't really.
But the first time never went away, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that was what the case was of people getting it a second time, but I just kind of hope that it's not true because I don't want this shit a second time. The first time was rough enough.
I mean, I'm not a science advocate, but I do think there's so much unsolved about this damn COVID.
So
like it hasn't even been a year.
Bro,
how much can you study within a year?
And we have no clue about long-term effects, right? Like it's
we wouldn't know until down the road. To be fair,
exactly. And I think there was new research saying that like people who ended up getting COVID have like scar tissue in their lungs now.
Yeah.
Bro, what if I have scar tissue in my lungs?
I mean, God forbid.
Fuck it, bro. I might as well start smoking 20 packs of cigarettes a day. Like, damn.
Yeah, it's scary.
Yeah,
which is nuts. Not to go with lungs, but I mean, it's a story I heard from my boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was saying how there's this guy. I guess this goes kind of hand in hand. So there's a guy, right? He was his neighbor. It was neighbor's son. Yeah. He was like probably young in his 20s. He got a job. I don't know what, maybe working for a coal company, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
They were giving him like probably like $60 to $70 an hour, right?
That's
so of
good.
course, bro, that's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So of course the kid is like, hell yeah, I'll do it. So he was obviously inhaling all those fumes and whatever. It was something like along that line of work, and then he had a girlfriend. They were back. They just bought a house, bro. He lasted like I think like 4 or 5 years there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he started like coughing up blood, whatever. He went to the doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor was like, yo, I guess whatever medical stuff he had to get done.
Mm-hmm.
I guess CAT scans. I guess at that point.
Whatever. I'm not a doctor, but yeah, sure. Yeah.
So whatever lungs he had to get done. They thought he was smoking like easily like 3 to 4 packs a day.
Fuck.
The guy says, I haven't smoked once in my life.
Yeah.
And that's how much he was freaking inhaling, bro.
Just with all that coal and everything going on, yeah.
Yeah, and then he passed away shortly after.
Fuck.
And he had a baby on the way.
Oh.
So the guy, pretty much my boss was just telling me, yo, just take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. He's like whether it's COVID or not. He's like, just take care of yourself. Because
it's true.
You have no idea what the hell the future's gonna hold. And the guy, he's like, yo, to be fair, any human at let's say 24, 25, if you're getting charged, somebody's telling you I'm gonna pay you $60 to $70 an hour,
you're gonna take it.
Any human person would take it.
Yeah.
With a union job, pension. Of course you're gonna take it.
But you're paying with your life at that point.
Yeah, obviously the kid didn't know.
Yeah.
But obviously, damn man. Then when he said that story to me, I was like, all right. He was just telling me like, I guess I was a couple days in to the new job, and he was like, yeah, he's like, take care of your health before anything. He's like, if you don't got health, you will never.
You have nothing.
You have nothing. Yeah, pretty much.
I think there was a Vice documentary about something about like this town of asbestos, where like the whole town was like this old asbestos mine or something like that, and how like I don't know if the kids were coming out with deformities, but they were like immediately having illnesses. But these people, their lives depend on this, so they like continued digging and mining in this mine that's basically filled with asbestos, and the whole town, like their houses are made of asbestos and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's just like, I mean, Queens College, the college that I frequent, I was over there, and there were signs literally saying like this building is shut down because they had to get rid of the asbestos. This was something that we used to use a bunch. And then we learned later on in life, oh wait, this thing actually kills us. Let's not use it. it's crazy to think about, like, all these things that were just like, oh, this is great, let's use it, and then it goes on to be like, oh no, this goes about killing us.
I mean, even like what, maybe like 100 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah,
They would say cigarettes weren't bad for you.
Kids were smoking cigarettes.
That's nuts.
Yeah, insane.
And then that backfired. They were like, "Oh
Bro.
shit, we gotta tell these motherfuckers."
Yeah, but if you bring it back 100 years ago, Coca-Cola, bro, it used to be medicine. It used to have cocaine in it, and then we're just like, oh, wait a minute, cocaine might not be good for you.
All the people fucking like, oh, thanks, Sherlock.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking telling me while I'm dying.
But you know what? Like, all right, I've never done coke in my life, but from what I've heard, it gives you energy. So I could only assume they were just like, well, this is a plant. It gives you energy, so it probably heals you, right? So it was just like, all right, so here's a medicine that will gives you energy. You feel better. Even if you're sick, you'll feel better. You got energy.
Yeah, but now take fucking 2 Red Bulls, 3 Red Bulls. You're fucking. See how your heart does.
Oh, that like reminds me of this thing. My mom is terrified of like anything that has to do with Red Bull or Monster or anything like that, because she heard one day on the news there was these kids that decided to do this new challenge that's going around where he would drink. I think the challenge was like you had to drink 2 liters of Mountain Dew, you had to do a shot of espresso, you had to drink a Red Bull, you had to drink a Monster. And in the news, the kid that ended up doing this died. He had a heart attack, and I think he was young. He was like 15 years old. He ended up dying due to a heart attack because of that. Ever since then, my mom was just terrified. Whenever I'd bring her like Red Bull home, she'd throw that shit out. Oh, throw that shit right out. But it's like common sense, no? I mean, you think we do that much shit, you'd be like, yeah, maybe something might happen to me. Caffeine's a drug at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course it would. But to be fair, not defending the kid, but
your kids, you don't think about that shit.
I mean, think about like maybe 4, 5, 6 years ago, we felt unstoppable. You fucking run through a wall. You're like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
You fucking try it, but
why do you think the Tide Pod challenge was the fucking thing? To the point where, oh my god, get out.
Right, try to stay so quietly.
But yeah, why do you, at this point, Tide even had to put like little disclaimers. Don't fucking eat this, you idiots! Like, why would you even eat this in the first place?
Bro, how did that start? I
don't know.
I would never. That doesn't even taste good.
We'll bring it back to the old conversation that we're having about social media. About how like most people are at this point are just addicted to their phones. Hell, I know for a fact I am. Look at my analytics. 10 hours a goddamn day on my phone? That's fucking stupid. I don't know how that's possible.
I heard this thing recently. It's just like, what's the first thing you do when you wake up? Yeah. Or within the first I think it's in 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
I know, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like, what is the first thing you do? Easily, my answer was, I'm definitely on my phone.
Yeah, the second I wake up, I watch YouTube.
Oh man, that's nuts. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, the first thing I do is fucking probably go on Instagram, Snapchat.
My alarm is on my phone, right? So the second I shut up, so I think I told you this, but I can't wake up to regular alarms. So I straight up have puzzles every single day I have to solve. So the second I solve the puzzle, I'm kind of awake. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna watch YouTube. I already have my phone in my hand, I might as well. But like, bro, like even when I'm taking a piss, I'm on my phone. I'm brushing my teeth, I'm on my phone.
The first 5-10 minutes every, and this is like a study. It's like 100%. This ain't me just saying it. It's like a study, and then immediately I asked 7-8 people around me.
Yeah.
Every single person around me, on their phone.
Yeah.
That's nuts,
bro. It's
so crazy how we've made it so, like, I guess reliable. Yeah, I guess
it's one of those things where it's just like you can't live without it.
Yeah.
I was telling you about this earlier, but like nowadays, even jobs give you phones. They're just like, yo, you have to, here's a phone, you have to use it to do calls, pick up messages, things like that. But like, it's gotten to the point where like, my analytics says I do 10 hours daily.
Yeah.
On average daily.
I kind of want to look at mine, to be fair.
Please, actually, bring up yours and let me know how much you do yours. But if you were to do anything for 10 hours a day, you're going to be like, no, bro, it's 2 hours.
Which one is it, home screen?
I think you literally go...
No, I got it over here. I took it off.
Oh, you didn't want to see it anymore.
No, it has to be home screen. No, it's not that.
We're going to look it up. But mine ended up being around 10 hours.
Oh, it's right here, bro. How miss it?
How many?
Zero minutes.
Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, yeah.
Bullshit. That ain't true. Mine is 10 hours. And if you do anything for 10 hours straight, that's an addiction. This is like, we don't like to think about our phones as something that it could be addictive or anything like that. But this is an addiction that I have. I have to be stimulated constantly throughout the day.
Oh, that's nuts.
Let me hear.
Oh, yeah. Wow, that's pretty fucking impressive. Not impressive, but...
You're giving yourself a high five. You're like, damn.
Like about like 6 hours a day.
Bro, that's a full-time job. Basically, you're 2 hours...
Don't tell my boss that. He'll be thinking I'm on my phone all day.
That just makes me go, 10 hours, that's 4 hours. Alright, so the only excuse that I'll give myself is that I fall asleep to listen to podcasts. But bro, my waking moment is on my phone, and my sleeping moment is on my phone, because I'm always listening to a YouTube video or a podcast or something. I always have to be stimulated. Bro, when I'm taking a shower at this point, I have to be listening to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brushing my teeth, I'm listening to something. Eating, when I go to eat, I watch a YouTube video. I tell myself this: I can't start eating until I watch a YouTube video. That's a problem.
Yeah, man. I guess we are just going through our lives using it so frequently, so instantly. You're like, I guess you don't even know that it's on sometimes.
Yeah,
which is kind of scary.
That's terrifying, man. And if you look to your left, I have 2 different screens. I have 2 different monitor screens. And then even on top of that, I still use my phone.
An extra 10 hours a day.
An extra 10 hours a day. So that's not screen time in total. I could probably, if you were to go to my average screen time total, it'll probably be around 16 hours. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
When do I sleep?
When it's 24.
Yeah,
you sleep those 8.
Yeah, you're right. I really do stretch those 8 hours out, man.
Yeah. I mean, I'm surprised it's a lot more. That's higher than I thought it was gonna be. I thought maybe like 3 or 4 a day. Nah, man, 6. It was like about 6 and 20.
Yeah. Do you fall asleep with your phone near you or no? Or
no, that's the one thing I try. I actually.
That's good.
No, yeah, that's the one thing I always try to stay away from. Just maybe because I'm old school.
Do you see those books near you? I've been trying to read books before going to sleep because I heard the blue light or whatever. It makes you stay up longer.
But to be fair, you could change the screen and make it like a yellow light.
No, I did. and you know what? Once I realized the yellow light, I haven't read those books.
Like fuck those books.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I got yellow light now. I can go to sleep with these.
Nah, yeah. Yeah, I put my phone away just a little bit, but I have to have it close enough where I have to listen to the alarm.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is also another thing.
I sleep with my phone underneath my bed, or I have a desk right next to me. It's literally right there.
But that goes back to my high school teacher. She used to be like, oh, I mean, I guess, I don't know if she's right or wrong, but she's like, oh, the radiation on that. So ever since she'd be like, buried that in my head, I've always been like, yeah, let me keep my phone a little bit further away.
I'm telling you right now, in 20 years, there's going to be people that have like cancer in their legs. Was it me or was it you that ended up doing that research project on schizophrenia?
Oh, that was me.
Yeah, that was you, right?
I mean, I was in your class, but yeah. So I guess
we were there. But yeah,
bro, that's a crazy thing in itself.
Yeah,
I that's happened to me. I don't know if it's happened to you.
It's 100% has happened.
If you're not aware of schizophrenia, I think that's the one.
Yeah.
Where you hear like a ring
or
from your phone or vibration, and there's nothing that's happened.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I don't know about you, but I keep my phone constantly on my left pocket.
I keep it on my right, but yeah, I sometimes feel the vibrations.
I feel.
I think I do.
I only feel the vibration on my left leg. Even when I don't have my phone near me, if it's been a couple hours, I feel it on my leg, but not on my right leg. Can you believe that? There's this
like a muscle, I guess. Right?
There's a muscle that goes. It's just
so used to it. I guess.
It's so used to it that it's probably like, hey, let me vibrate right now. It's crazy that literally a word has been made up because of this. We grew up in a generation that grew up with the internet.
Yeah.
Like we talked about this earlier, but imagine the kids now that are in the middle of this world, are in the middle of the internet age where there's nothing that you can't do besides in the internet.
But I think it's also nuts with the whole COVID thing. Like, alright, you're locked down now. Now you gotta go to school through Zoom on your iPad or computer, whatever the hell it is.
You can't escape
even if you want to be on your iPhone. But, it's gonna be tough for these next kids growing up. Just I could never imagine. Literally, now you're home. 24 hours, you're really home. That's God forbid. I mean, maybe now you're chilling with your friends, whatever. But once it gets
And once it gets back to
lower
lockdown,
than 35 degrees and lockdown,
yeah, exactly.
I'm sure you're not gonna be going out.
No, definitely not.
So what's the one thing you're gonna turn to is obviously your phone.
And then that's how people are going to keep in contact. That's when social media gets even bigger and bigger, or whatever. I was telling you about my high school teacher that he made the conscientious effort to make sure that his kids don't end up like having like electronics until they're over 5 years old. But now, how can you avoid that? How can you tell your kids, hey, look, your school is giving you an iPad, but you shouldn't be watching the iPad? How are you supposed to tell your kids, hey, look, this laptop you have, you shouldn't be spending all your time on it when you have to be on school 8 hours or whatever on this laptop? How are you supposed to tell your kids, don't be on that all day when you have to be now?
What makes it worse now, too, is obviously your kid makes friends. They're like, oh, what's whatever? How can I contact you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kid's like, oh, I don't got that because this now your kid's feeling all bummed out because which is that's such a hard. I guess you gotta give in maybe I mean I don't know, I'm not a parent yet, but I guess you would have to just to make your kid happy a little bit.
I'm not excited to have kids in this generation, man. I don't know how I'm gonna raise my kids. When I think about even how like my parents raised me, I have no clue how they raised me. Like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I think the next challenge is, it must be tough to be a parent right now with this whole COVID. Probably. To be even worse. Probably was already rough with the whole technology, but now that the kids are going through Zoom. Now, on top of that, my question about that is, alright, so now you have a parent. Now they're both working full-time jobs outside.
Yeah.
Who the hell is going to take care of these kids, no offense? Because some parents rely on schools to take care of them for those 8 hours at least.
Trust me, my parents relied on school for
my parents did too. I would have been home alone.
Exactly, yeah.
So now I wonder that some days, like, yo, man, it must be so rough to be a parent right now. Yeah,
because do you leave your kids alone? Can you trust them to be alone?
By law, can you leave the kids alone, to be fair?
Oh, shit, you're right. I didn't damn those pesky laws, bro. I didn't even think about that.
Everyone's lived by law, so he don't care.
Honestly, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, could you even leave your kids alone?
So now what? Alright, so you have no babysitter.
You're not allowed to have a babysitter, because what happens if she was in contact with a bunch of kids with COVID or something? Perfect. You can't risk your kid with that.
Not perfect, but I'm saying, that's my example.
That's great. How did you get that COVID?
No, what I'm saying is, and then what? Alright, now you gotta tell your boss the next day. Yeah. Yo, what boss on this planet is gonna say, yeah, that's fine, you can stay home? I mean, hopefully they'd be listening. I mean, not listening, but understandable to let you do it, but man, some of these bosses don't care. They're just trying to make their money. Yeah,
most of them don't care.
Yeah.
Alright, so you can have a boss, but then you can have like the CEO type level. CEO at the end of the day does not care. He wants his money.
He don't give. He probably doesn't even know your name, to be fair.
Hell no, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, like your boss might care, like personally or whatever, and would try your best. But at the end of the day, the CEO is just like, this person ain't working, and then that's it. We send them out, furlough them, and which is why I had the stimulus check and everything like that, when it comes to unemployment plus getting $600, I think that was for the best, because people had to be home with their kids and everything.
Yeah, I understand
that was for the best. I understand why it happened.
But to be fair, there was a lot of people making money, a lot more money than whatever the hell they were getting from unemployment. Like there's a guy I know, he just lost a job. Mm-hmm. He was making a good amount of money, more than what unemployment was, and him and his wife both got laid off.
Yeah.
And they were struggling to pay mortgages.
Yep.
And he said thankfully for that he had a savings, but oh man, I can't imagine having a house on top of that. Imagine your kids going to school, you're trying to pay mortgage, you and your wife, God forbid anybody in this planet, in this country, to be fair. Planets, because I'm sure we're not the only ones.
No, we're definitely not.
Struggling, you gotta pay mortgages, you still gotta pay electricity. Now your kids are freaking home. Oh man, it must be.
Rough?
I'm actually glad I'm not a parent right now.
I'm so glad I'm young.
Nah, bro, we were young too, so have a kid.
Yeah, you're right. Shit, you're right about that. I'm glad that I'm single and young, where I don't have a kid relying on me. My parents are decently well off. That like, if I lose my job, they're not gonna be like, shit, how are we gonna make rent this month or whatever? Yeah. How are we gonna make the mortgage payments? So look, all in all, I'm well off when it comes to that, right? Where I'm not like, will I have food on my plate? Yeah, I'm not too worried about it.
Even then, though, your parents are working in the right line of work, I would say.
But, yeah, we're blessed where we go. Yeah, they're working.
Some people in a line of work that No offense.
It's obsolete.
No offense. Yeah, it
at the end of the
doesn't
day.
need to be needed.
It's not needed. But thankfully, my parents work in something that's just like
Yeah.
I feel like there's a couple certainties in life. It's the health and well being of people. It's where people will live, and then enjoyment. When it comes to quarantine, maybe enjoyment comes out of that. But by well being of health, I mean I'm talking about doctors. I'm talking about nurses. Anything that has to do with health in general. Thankfully, the majority of my family works in that. And then when I'm talking about houses, I'm talking about people at the end of the day need somewhere to live. It doesn't matter where. So if you work somewhere, if you work in something that's plumbing, AC, roofing, anything that has to do with houses, I think you're set. You will forever have a job, no matter the climate of anything at all.
Yeah.
But then when you go into, do we need, do we really need restaurants? At the end of the day, if that's like very, like if we have to like, if we had to decide, hey, should we do like mortgage or restaurant? What should we do? Restaurant's always gonna end up being sent down the drain.
Yeah.
Do we really need a Dave and Buster's if we're struggling? No, you really don't. But if you get sick, who are you gonna go to? You're always gonna go to a doctor, a hospital, a nurse, or whatever. That's always something that's certain. If you suddenly lose your house, where are you gonna go? You're gonna have to find something. Either shelter, apartment, or anything of that nature. So I feel like if you have any type of work in those fields, you will forever have a job, no matter what. Unless there's a meteor coming down to destroy us all.
At that point, it is what it is.
Yeah. GG, good luck. Hope you live a good life.
That's what I'm saying. And I guess that's what also was an eye opener.
Yeah.
For like during this whole COVID thing, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that lost their jobs. I know my cousin, he lost his job. He was in a casino. You know, how often the casinos aren't needed.
Yeah, casinos. Yeah, exactly. That's when people have extra money. They don't know what to do. You just throw it away.
Yeah, man. It's definitely. I think I would say it's eye opening. You know, thankfully during the whole COVID thing, I was working in pharmacy.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It was definitely needed, but I know people. Man, it's so crazy.
It is.
It's
it really is.
Freaking nuts. I can't imagine. I'm still like, yo, man, this second wave is gonna come. I mean, hopefully it doesn't, but I'm sure at this point, not go away.
Yeah, for real.
Hopefully it doesn't, but it's gonna be even worse, maybe.
It's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be rough because it's like, we already went through it the first time. We both worked through it, but now this time we both have jobs now that probably will shut down.
That's the scary part.
Yeah, because we both ended up transitioning from like when quarantine happened to when it finished. We both ended up getting different jobs. Now these jobs are kind of reliant of having shit being open.
Yeah.
We're, I guess, considered not essential workers anymore.
Yeah, I guess so.
There's like I work in a dental office now, so I guess if there's like an emergency exam, like I guess I would be considered an essential worker. But like since we're not in health. Like
I know. Just
dental is health, but there's
like,
a difference, you know.
Yeah, nobody's gonna really. I mean, God willing, but no, I don't see nobody dying from it.
Yeah,
like a
exactly.
bad tooth.
From what I've seen, I'm not a dentist, but from what I've seen, you can't really die from tooth pain. Yeah, it just hurts like a bitch. But like, yeah, the dentists could still come in for emergency exams and things like that, but you're not allowed to be running up in functionality of 100%. You work in security.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's the problem with security is that
once
if they're closed,
they don't need it no more.
I mean, you just need it on the outside, really. You don't need it on the inside. Nobody's really in there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's I guess that's where the problem would be is there's no jobs really to do.
Yeah. Everything's going down.
Yeah, I guess we would feel the brunt of it this time.
So now this time, where the last podcast I talked about being bitter about the fact that we had to work through it, and how like at the end of the day people were making more money than us, even though we were working to it. Now I'm just like, well, fuck.
Now we're on the other side. Now we're like, I don't want to be.
Yeah, now I'm on the other side where I'm going, fuck, I might actually lose my job, and I'm like, fuck, I don't want that. We're both. I would say we're kind of workaholics. We've always worked. We constantly always have worked. The second we don't have a job, we're looking for another one.
And then that's a hell of an example. Like, pretty much during the whole quarantine, I'm sure a lot of people went, sadly, unfortunately, lost their jobs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure had to be home for that time being, unless they found one almost immediately. But,
Yeah, exactly. But definitely,
so,
a lot of
yeah,
people
it
stayed
was
home.
COVID. Yeah, at that point. And yeah, for those probably, I mean, it was
5 months,
yeah,
somewhere
I'm
around
saying
there.
it was a long time, longer than people expect. Yeah, for those months we were just working, we were just going to work.
Yeah.
Every day you'd wake up at the same time. Obviously, the only thing we loved about it probably is less
Traffic. Oh, I love
man,
that
I'd make
shit.
it home in like 10 minutes.
Bro, what used to be a 40-minute commute became like a 15-minute commute.
Yeah,
It was
me too,
awesome,
bro.
man. Yeah,
Half an hour to like almost 12, 13. I was like, what?
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, I guess, but
that was the only upside.
I mean, yeah, to be fair, since the whole COVID thing, I haven't stopped working.
Yeah.
And I transitioned, and this would be, I mean, hopefully not, but this would be the first time that I haven't worked in like 6-7 years.
So you were working in a pharmacy, so like, you were working on like the medicine side, the insurance, pharmaceutical side of everything. You had I guess a better job than me. I was working in a fucking resort hotel where people were trying to go and escape from the virus and being like, oh, we've been cooped in the house, like, like we just want to escape, we want to go, but I guess something that I didn't articulate well in the last time that I did this is that like when the quarantine first started and people like the big waves of coronavirus really did start happening, is that people will come to my hotel to die. Like this isn't one of those things where it was just like, oh, like where did I? No, people would leave a notation in a reservation saying, if my family were to call, tell them I'm in this hospital. But no, they knew they had coronavirus. They would go into the room. We had 3 people in my hotel end up absolutely dying. They ended up dying. We ended up having to quarantine a whole entire floor because there was 3 to 4 people that have died because of coronavirus there. Not because they contacted it in the hotel. No, it's because they had it and they didn't want to pass away in their house. They didn't want to pass away in a hospital. So they decided, you know what we'll do? We'll go into the hotel. So this was something that like I will see not every day, but it was something that happened where I go like, oh, like there would be people passing away, and then on top of that, my dad works at a hospital.
Yeah.
So he would come home and tell me about how they're literally renting out meat trucks that they would transfer about meat to store these bodies in, because it would be that crazy. My dad is not a panicky type. He doesn't get worried about anything.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first time that I ever saw him truly worried, and he was like, you guys better take this shit seriously. Because he's like, I went into, like, there was a COVID floor. Because he works in paternity. He works in helping people deliver babies and shit like that.
Yeah, definitely.
So, like, he was just like, thankfully, I was avoid of that floor. But he was like, I went and visited it. He said it was a horror movie. He was like, this was the worst thing he ever saw in his life.
I'm sure there's people in hospitals, man, that...
Yeah.
I know a person that worked in a hospital that she was a nurse, I think she was a nurse. I'm sure she was...
She works in the
area. Yeah. And she freaking passed away, man, but... Like,
tragic, man.
Like, yeah. I give it to those people, man. Like, God bless all these,
social workers.
Frontline workers?
Yeah.
Frontline, I guess.
Frontline, yeah.
Because,
consider that.
Yo, that's, I mean, if anybody's listening,
yeah.
Yo, 100%. God bless you, and God please protect you, because I could never imagine me going up against something like this.
Yeah.
Like, even, I would never have the courage to do that.
Anybody working in the health field where they have to personally go in and help these like people that are affected by COVID, bless your hearts. Yeah. I know there's like a movement saying that you guys are heroes. At the end of the day, even if you don't feel like it, you are. You really are. Because you're going and doing what a lot of people wouldn't do, right? Like, not a lot of people risk their lives. I know there are some people that probably feel trapped because they are nurses and they're just like, this is just a career that I chose. I didn't sign up to risk my life at the end of the day. And they're feeling martyred, but they're still doing it. And you know what? Even if you feel like you're getting martyred and like you're just like, yo, this is something that I don't want to do, the fact that you still go every day and you decide not to quit, that makes you a hero at the end of the day. You're helping people. That's serious. That's something that a lot of people will not do. And what do you imagine doing?
Like I was saying about that woman, I don't know if I said it already, but yeah, she ended up passing away.
Yeah.
Due to COVID.
It's tragic, man.
Yeah, man, and man. Well, I think what made it a little bit more sad was just like she was never like sad about like during the whole like COVID thing early on. She was never sad about it. She was always like, "No, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna save as in her what her words was, I'm gonna go save as much lives as I can.
Yeah.
And and man, God bless everybody, man. But that's one hell of a courage.
It is.
That's such bravery that, oh man, I can never imagine walking through a door and thinking like, I'm gonna attack this one way or another.
Exactly.
It's almost like inevitable at that point. And that's such courage, man.
It is a lot of courage. But even just in my experience, being pissed off at all the people that ended up showing up at the hotel, I could only imagine how the nurses feel, seeing how the second wave is coming through, and how a lot more people are getting affected. Imagine them right now, where they're just like, we went through the worst of it, and then seeing this shit happen right now, and they go, "Fuck, I have to do this shit again. This is gonna happen again, man. That's terrifying."
What about those people that died in the hotel, man? That's another thing too, man. Like, yo, they were dying.
Yeah.
And they freaking went to go die alone.
Yeah.
That's nuts, man.
I
mean, maybe I'm just selfish. Not selfish, but that's not dark, but like, yo, to know you're going to a spot and you're like, yo, this is
my deathbed.
Yeah, it's gonna be my last moment. It's gonna be here.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's terrifying. I mean, I'll give it to those people as well. Look, they were strong enough to be like, yo, I'm gonna do this to make sure I don't affect my family.
That's true.
But then, me being a worker there goes, well, fuck you. Why did you go to
Why not?
Why did you go to a fucking hospital where they could deal with this, and not my poor little Salvadorian Hispanic housekeeper that goes, oh, I found a dead body today. What do I do?
Oh my god!
And then I don't know if it's just unfortunately being educated about these things. But they would go in with no gloves, no mask, and clean it without an issue. They wouldn't. When I tell them, I'd be like, "Look, please, just wear a mask and glove. Take this seriously." They'd be like, "No te preocupas." Like, no, don't worry. It's all right. Whatever. What is this really? How bad can it be? And I'm like, yo. You're cleaning up after a dead person. That's how bad it could be. That is the worst case scenario. You dying, and that's something that you witness. And they're like, "Nah, I could clean it."
Have any of them passed away?
Not that I personally know of, but
then they didn't care.
Yeah, really, no. They're just like nobody died.
They were already.
But no, a lot of people that did work in the hotel had to step away for a month or so because they did end up getting COVID. I was one of them. I was one of them, and I had to step away for a month. It's funny because they were just like, oh, within 2 to 3 weeks after getting it, you could come back to work. And I was like, you know what? Just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna wait a month.
Yeah.
I don't want to affect nobody. I didn't even tell you. I didn't tell anybody that I had COVID.
No, but to be fair though, I did feel like you had it just because.
You're like, why is this kid not saying it?
No. I'd ask you to hang out a couple times, and you were like, nah, I'm not really up for it, whatever.
Yeah.
I just felt the bullshit.
Yeah.
I was like, oh damn, man, this guy might have.
No, because I'm just like, I'm not trying to infect nobody.
No, I know. But
at the end of the day,
I did feel that, like, oh shit, and I was kind of worried, man. God forbid, man, but. That to be, I was stressing about that too, man.
Yeah.
That's not like my brother. My brother got it. I'm like, oh damn. Hopefully him and his family can come through it.
Yeah.
And man, I worried about that too. I was like, I mean, yeah, obviously my brother, your family, your mom, your dad. I've met them plenty of times.
Yeah.
And I've met your aunt a couple times.
Yep.
So for me, yeah, it hit personal. I was. I'm not gonna lie. You were probably the first person I was really worried about. I was like, oh crap, it's hitting close now. And then for me, I was like, oh shit. When even though I know you were being on the bush and you didn't tell me, I already had a feeling. I'm like, all right, this guy hasn't hang out with me in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Something's up.
It's funny because it didn't feel close to home until it was home. Literally. Because when you see something in the news, you go, that happens to other people, not me, right?
That's true. Yeah.
It's one of those things where you're just like, nah, that's not gonna happen to my family. Bro, I talked about this in the last episode, but there was literally a family a couple blocks down, a family of 6 people. All of them got COVID. All of them died but the dad. Every single one of them, man.
Speaking of that, bro, I know somebody, I think this week, that, it's a landlord I know, that she had people in her basement, right?
Yeah.
And she had, I guess, what do you call that, renters, I guess?
Yeah.
She had somebody renting in her basement. And, time came for the check for the monthly check.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't get it. She wasn't upset about it. She paid it, and then like she went like she texted her, called her. She went weeks without hearing from this person, and then she finally has not the courage, but she was like, hey, let me just go downstairs, check my basement. Yo, everybody, there was 3 of them in there. They all died. She had no idea how long they were dead for.
Oh man, fuck.
And obviously, she's assuming maybe it was COVID.
Yeah.
It could have been carbon monoxide, but
They just never opened the window.
No. But
oh fuck.
But she said that she had carbon monoxide levels all over it, so it couldn't have been that. But it would have had to be. But she did say that one of them was like, I'm not feeling well, something like that.
Mm.
So maybe her assumption is COVID. I don't know about the autopsy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's nuts. All 3 of them, man.
Yeah.
It was like, I know it was like a brother and a sister and then like a cousin, something like that. They were all living there. That's it's crazy.
It's
I can't even imagine.
Man. Tragic. It's fuck. This is the world we live in now.
Yeah, for the next couple months probably.
This is maybe my thing. I feel like none of this is really going to be resolved until we get a vaccine. We were promised the end of the year, right? We're practically at the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
And now, like, with the amount of people that have gotten this, the first strain that we saw probably isn't what the strain is nowadays, you know? It's probably has changed at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure it's probably gotten stronger. If anything, it's had to. It's had to get stronger.
Yeah.
Viruses are smarter than we can think.
It's true. It is true about that. Shit. Well, do you want to end this on a lighter note? I don't know. We spent like...
we're dark as shit, bro. We're already today.
Bro, we spent 56 minutes talking about segregation and dying of COVID.
Okay, we kind of I don't want to leave on this note.
Yeah, neither do I, man.
You lead off. Alright, guys. No. We'll see you if we...
Did you say we'll see you if we live?
Later, is there's vaccine coming out?
Yeah, definitely. The Russia and China are hacking into the vaccine, so that's all good.
They'll just make some for more people.
Yeah. Dude, that's all they want to do. They're like, I want my people to have it too. Здравствуйте. We'll have it too, please.
I have no idea what the hell that means.
It just means hello. It means nothing else. Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't have a lighter note. We're kind of depressed mood with the world.
I feel like there's always light at the end of the tunnel.
No, yeah, there always has to be light. I always like looking at the bright side of everything, and the bright side of me having COVID was just like, yeah, you know what? I ended up loving life a little bit more.
Oh, that's perfect. It's perfect right there.
Perfect. Boom. You almost died. You still live. Ain't it great?
No, that's true. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have been through this and have learned to value your life and value the ones around you. Most importantly, because God forbid, man, tomorrow you never know what tomorrow brings.
Exactly.
And that's 100% true. I not for nothing. I do feel like maybe I'm speaking selfish, but I do feel like I took life a little bit for granted prior to COVID, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Before COVID, just because I felt like, you were young and you think you're unstoppable.
Young, man,
you think you do whatever the hell you want.
But
then seeing this virus,
even
seeing young, healthy people, not to get on a dark note a little bit, but seeing that anybody could be affected through this, it's definitely like, if anybody's around you, just, tell them you love them.
Yeah.
Man, you have no idea.
That's what I would say as well.
It's made me appreciate everybody from you to even people that didn't have COVID.
So you used to not appreciate it?
I'm saying that's no. No, it's just it's kind of like you just feel like you're gonna see them every day, but like now, like every time I see you, I'm like, it's all love. It's 100%. I'm loving you.
I love you, brother.
I love you too, bro. And it's always like that. It's always like, now I'm giving you 100%. Where I feel like kind of prior to it,
it's just like, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. But now it's like, I'm gonna hug you. I'm gonna love you. I'm gonna love everybody around me. And now I guess I live by that. I try to be positive as I can. But after COVID, I'm like, let me be even more positive than before.
I agree with that. I always used to be on the positive side. I always used to tell people, like, I love you. But it would be, like, far and few in between, right? So now I'm just like, I started telling people more often. I'm just like, I care about you. You're somebody special in my life. I love you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And then I also started preaching about, like, yo, actually be serious about this shit. Because it was just like, I unfortunately had the luck of being like, it wasn't a question if I'll get it, it was when I get it. And a lot of people do have that option if I'll get it. Make sure you don't have the option. Go, I'm going to take care of myself and my family 100%. So it did make me care about life more. It made me appreciate life more. It made me bitter for a little bit. I ain't gonna lie. It made me angry that I was like, this shit is really gonna. This was what could have taken me out. But now it made me go, you know what? I'm not saying I had a second chance at life, but it made me go,
what can I do better?
Life is short. I should continue.
And that's another thing too. Not to cut you off, my bad.
No, sorry, bro.
It's just like time is so valuable, and I guess that's what I learned in those time frames. Like man, that's the one thing you have in this world is your own time. You can choose whatever you want to do with your time. Yeah. Money comes and goes. Time is really the only thing you can't choose.
Exactly.
Like you could choose to work more hours at work, get more money, but time, how you want to spend it, I think is definitely showed me like, all right, what do I want to do? So that's why now when I'm out of work, I'm always like, oh, what do I want to? I'm out of work. Like I need to make some moves, whether it's to go hang out with you or to go hang out with my mom, take out to dinner, whatever I can that just to like enhance my time.
That's another thing that I started doing. I used to be terrified of calling sick out of work, calling or asking off for a day off. I used to hate it. I used to not want to do it because I'd be like, oh, how would it affect my coworkers? Is it like, how would my boss think of me? But nowadays I'm just like, you know what? I've spent too many days saying no to a bunch of my friends, to you, to my family, being like, hey, I can't do this because I have work. Hey, I got to cancel. I got to move this date because I have work. Yeah, now I'm just like, you know what? Now I'm no longer using work as an excuse. If somebody says, hey, like, I want to do this on this day, I go, all right, I'm going to ask off. If they say, no, I can't have it, I'll try my best to still somehow find a way to do it that day. If not, I'm just like, yo, boss, I really got to take off this day. Like, I rarely do. Let me take off this day. So now I'm not I'm not as afraid to use my sick days, to ask for days off now, to be like, let me hang out with my friends. Let me go see my family. Let me do this. Let me take care of myself now. Where used to, I would be like, fuck, I would say no to everybody. I would say no to myself. I would just go to work.
That's true. I feel like that too, like prior to COVID, like, yeah, definitely. Like, I didn't really, not that I say I wouldn't care about my happiness, but I wasn't like prioritizing my happiness.
You're right. Yeah, same.
After that, I'm like, all right, let's. I mean, what makes me happy more than if my coworkers? I felt the same way. I hated calling out or I hated taking a vacation day. I'm like, oh shit, my coworkers gonna be shorthanded. Like now, I'm more like, all right, you know, I don't care.
Exactly.
Like I'm like, all right, my happiness and my time, my free time is definitely has to be.
Yeah.
It's my time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm the same way at the moment. So, even then, I'm just like, all right. Yeah, like, a day off is needed. Everybody needs a day off at the end of the day.
That's true, man. For your mental happiness and...
Exactly. Yeah.
Whatever comes along with that. Pleasure.
Alright, we're an hour and 3 minutes in. I think this is probably a good point to cut it off. I guess the main story of this is, just at the end of the day, you take your time. If you feel stuck in a point of your life, remember, you're in your own time schedule. Don't put yourself in somebody else's schedule of life, and take your days off. Take your own days off for your own mental health and everything like that. You need it. Everybody does.
And love, man. Love is a big thing.
Yeah, you're right. Love yourself. Learn to love yourself if you haven't. Learn to love your family, your friends, and everything. Learn to appreciate if you haven't sat down to appreciate your friends, because you never know. You never know what might happen. We're young, but sometimes, even if we're young, we're stoppable, bro. Things could come and hit us. Yeah. All right. Well, shit. I get this.
I'm doing this with you, bro.
Yeah. No. Get doing this with you.
Whenever you want to.
100%. Again, guys, this is just a podcast of conversation between friends. That's all that it is. Freddie's somebody that I've known for 8 years, more than that.
Wow, just 8, you piece of shit.
Just 8. Now, this man's my brother at the end of the day. He really is. Same goes with Sam. Same goes with the person that I started with this podcast. But that's why it's called Ed and Ed. I used to start with my brother Edgar. But he's just too busy to do that at this point. But yeah, no. Podcast between friends. Hope you enjoyed this conversation. You have a great day. Deuces.